Because he never went.
Wait, by bad hair, did you mean awesome hair, Josh?
Well, there's a certain point where it does that kind of Lady Gaga thing where you cross into something. Like Oduro just he got that and it just went wrong on him. He was like, it's like you get really excited to take an open shot, and instead you kick it, it goes behind you somehow.
Oh, like that one guy who from Philly from earlier. It's like that freak out moment that he talked about.
What?
Old like our second episode callback. Never mind.
Yeah, all that I'm wondering with Oduro is if he's going to keep that, kind of like similar to Wondolowski with the W, if he's going to keep that pizza in his hair to keep the mojo going or something.
Well, he didn't score though, right?
No.
Who scored in that game? Was it It wasn't Chris, was it? I mean.
Oh, I guess I'm mistaken.
No, it was Arrieta on a PK.
That's right.
That might be what he's going for, though. Just apparently, somebody was saying that on his Twitter feed, it's like every third tweet he's at Papa John's. So I'm not sure.
Oh man, just
but
the worst pizza. You just couldn't pick worse pizza. Because remember, Kai Kamara had the thing where he loved Chipotle, and I was like, that's kind of cute. I eat at Chipotle sometimes. Papa John? Nah, I'm not going to Papa John's. Oh.
Well, so I think that pretty much covers the games this week. Yeah. I mean, Josh, do you want to give us your 30-second disappointment rundown, or?
You know what? I will tell you the good thing that I found out during the Portland-Houston game, which is that Houston's commentators are actually really good, and it mostly reminded me of how horrible Portland's new commentators are, because we lost John Strong to NBCSN, and now our commentators suck. So I was listening to Houston, and I was thinking, gosh, these guys are pretty good. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, they're not actually that good. It's just that the Portland ones are really, really bad now.
Yeah, no, they're not. Their play-by-play guy is actually pretty good. He kind of reminds me of Dave Johnson for us. But their color guy is the single most homeristic color guy in MLS, I feel like.
Whoa.
More than Shep Messing?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
There's some more than Shep Messing, really? No.
Yes.
Shep Messing is awful.
He must have been on his best behavior then, because he was very good during the Portland game. And I don't know. I was impressed. And we were all talking about the match, said, hey, these guys don't suck, which reminds us all, our guys suck now.
Well, San Jose used to have the most homeristic.
Yeah. That was probably one of the worst phases of commentary that we've gone through. We basically had Dan Dibley became the main commentator. I'm pretty sure he had no connection to soccer ever before that. He had done local sports radio shows
Nice.
as the third man, not even a main host. He
So
was
someone's best friend.
Yeah, he was a sideline reporter the year before, I think. And then out of nowhere, after one of the main commentators left, he ends up getting the main job. And I kept on commentating during match threads and in the Earthquake subreddit that I was going to just, one of these days I was going to submit an application and just try to do it myself because I couldn't stand it anymore.
Well, it did create one of the most memorable moments last year with the San Jose, the LA comeback at Stanford
That's
Stadium.
what I was about to ask. Was it that guy? Because, that's worth a lot of dumb calls. You can...
Definitely.
It's like that moment when you score one great goal and everybody forgives you for fluffing so many open headers before. You're like, well, but he did get that one goal. That
I was going to say, yeah, it was bad, but then that happened. Because it's funny, we've had some interesting commentator history. Because Gus Johnson, actually, he was doing radio commentary for the Quakes, and I think he did one or two broadcasts on TV, and then now he's ending up on Fox Soccer doing some of their broadcasts. I think he actually did some CCL, I'm not sure. But yeah, I
remember a couple of y'all's broadcasts. Wait, is that Gus Johnson and a women's national team player? What's going on here?
Yeah, we definitely do not have one certain set of commentators. Although the most recent pair we have right now seems to be all right. They're actually saying, yeah, that was a yellow card, that was a red card on our guy, and I was like, whoa, they're actually, you can say that about your own team? That's excellent. Yeah, so commentators in especially American sports are always the best and worst at the same time, usually.
All right.
Hey, Josh, what is this about trying to escape Seattle?
Yeah, Josh, let's hear about that.
Oh,
And first of all, how dare you?
Well.
Yeah, and by the way, I was the one who added the frowny face. In case.
Oh, you did. Oh, I thought it was Pete, and I felt bad for hurting Pete's feelings. Well, now I don't give a shit. No, I bought a house somewhere near Seattle, on an island near Seattle, and so we.
Bought an island?
No, a house on an island.
Oh, okay.
An entire island. I like that impression you have of me, that I'm just like, on an island.
You do live in Seattle. I mean, it's, you know.
Well, you live in Seattle too, Pete.
Right, and we should be yachting together. I don't
Yeah,
know why
where's
we're
your
not.
island? Yeah,
That's true.
keeping up with the Joneses, better get your own island.
It's because he's a Portland supporter. We don't allow them to have islands here.
Did you try to get an island and they rejected your application or something?
Actually, yeah, most of the islands, so there's all the really pretty islands that are great to go visit, and then there are the islands where you actually want to live, and there's two, and one is very expensive and easy to get to, and one is still pretty expensive but less expensive but a little bit harder to get to. So we have a second house on the very southern end of that island, and we're going to slowly move out there. And then, I don't know, we're going to see what happens. But basically, it's like a big enough place that my girlfriend can live there, and then maybe I can take a job in San Francisco and just come up every once in a while.
Cool.
That's my plan.
It sounds like an awesome plan, to be honest.
Yeah. So now I have two houses, and I don't really know what to do with them. Except just shuttle between one and the other.
You can give one to me. That's cool.
Shortly. Hey, this is how we'll get Dennis to move out here.
Before you were here,
Dennis
Dennis was talking about moving the podcast to Seattle. That we need to
I'll room with Dennis. No big deal.
Can I get a green card from one of you guys? Can we do a gay marriage or something?
It's legal here. You and Dennis, or you and Ian can get married.
There we
Yeah.
go.
I'm down.
We both got long hair.
Oh, we've got it all figured out. Well, Josh, congrats.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
I'm sad to hear that you're going to be out of the area, so we should do a little more beer drinking and
yeah,
soccer
well,
watching.
this is going to be a slow process.
What's internet access out at an island like?
Well, I mean, there are people who live there and modern amenities, electricity, you know.
Yeah, this is a set of islands that have direct ferries to downtown.
Ah,
It's
yeah.
like
Okay.
it's kind of a commuter island, if
I
you
was
will.
thinking a little bit more remote, but
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's not too bad. It's actually very lovely over there. I'm happy for you. It's a nice place.
Yeah. This is, by the way, Vashon, not Bainbridge.
Ah, okay. I was wondering, you mentioned the two different islands and then didn't specify whether.
Well, because I figured you were the only one who would get it, like the difference.
Right.
Because Vashon, it is pretty easy to get to, but it's like from downtown, it's kind of a hike. Anyway, enough talking about Seattle geography.
All right. Well, before we let Zach and Ian rip, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you think that Portland is going to be the DC of last year?
Maybe I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
No, I was thinking it was funny because when they were playing pretty badly in preseason, I was like, gosh, I wonder if they're going to stop playing this badly, and then they just never seem to, and I was like, this seems really familiar. This is like another team that won their conference semifinals, went into the conference final, it didn't cover themselves in glory, but got there. And then the next year, you were like, well, they'll probably do the same kind of thing next year. And then they didn't, like really didn't. And that team is DC 2013, and I'm starting to wonder if Portland 2014 is going to be DC 2013.
Well, that
So
would
here's
mean
the thing,
your
though.
first Open Cup, buddy. Congrats.
Hey.
So here's the thing, though. first of all, last year's preseason, we actually won all of our games, and Pahoy scored like 4 goals. So we were really optimistic going into it. So we were like, yeah. And then obviously we didn't win a whole lot in the regular season. We did win the Open Cup.
Yeah.
But I mean, you guys don't have Dave Casper as your GM still.
No, we have a guy named Gavin Wilkinson who, as far as I can tell, just got really, really lucky and kind of looked like a genius last year. But I don't know that his player picks are very good because the Timbers haven't been very good, and from what I understand, he's really the one calling all the shots on player selection. So I'm.
Well, you guys do still have the most epic midfield in the MLS. Still, I'm gonna keep saying that phrase, and I feel like that's
have you seen them lately? I mean, you keep saying that, but it's as if you're not watching them play.
I mean, here's the thing. Portland 2013 sort of reminded me of late 90s DC United because they have the guy in Diego Valeri, I feel like, that most resembles players like Marco Echeverri and Carlos Valderrama from their early MLS days, more so than really probably anybody else in MLS history. After those guys were gone, and then I guess above that, you don't really have a striker like Lassiter. You kind of did with Ryan Johnson. So that
a little bit.
It's problematic, and your defense is also problematic.
Yeah.
It's like you guys just have a midfield, and that's it.
Yeah, it's almost as if we got rid of all of our depth at forward and in the back line, and then drafted some people and then sent them out on loan and called it good. It's almost as if that's exactly what happened. So yeah, I think it would be interesting if this is like a thing that happens in MLS where you're like, hey, you were pretty good last year, but this year you're like record-breakingly bad, and people just kind of bounce back and forth. But it's interesting. I mean, like San Jose, 2012, amazing. 2013, not so amazing.
They were better than 2 Eastern Conference playoff teams, and they had the same amount of points as the 5th place Western Conference playoff team.
Well,
that's true. That's true. But they did not say what?
I was just going to say, despite all the crap that San Jose played for the first half of that year, they did miss the playoffs on a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not as if like it went from first to worst, but yeah, definitely it was a big change to go from support shield to scraping at the bottom, basically. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm not actually comparing.
Oh no, I understand. Don't worry.
Team. I'm just saying that odd things happen.
Comparing his team to
yeah, definitely.
last year.
Yes, I'm doing that.
Parody.
Well, I think that means that it's time for something that I know Ian's certainly been looking forward to. Ian, I'm going to give you 10 minutes, and then I'm going to cut.
That's a lot of time.
I know. I'm going to cut. That doesn't mean you have to use all the time. That is your total allotted time.
Restraint, Ian. Restraint. Remember.
Yeah. So I know that you've been dying to talk to Zach about EJ versus Wando. So to get that started, we recently had somebody do the Survey Monkey thing in the subreddit, where they basically asked us to pick the starting 23 for the National Team World Cup. So I think that those results could be useful to the discussion at hand. But you guys want to talk about EJ versus Wando, and I know. Zach, you can also talk a little bit about your upcoming friendly as well.
Oh yeah, I guess I'll lead in with that.
Yeah, please.
That was something that was really surprising because, as I like to joke about on the subreddit and actually tweeted at Caval about it, is that up till then we had been pretty much playing only English Premier League teams that had birds in their crest. So hold on, just listen for a second. We played in the past 4 years. We played Norwich, West Bromwich Albion, Tottenham Hotspur, and Swansea.
Yep.
So all 4 teams have birds in their crest, and I was thinking that's the weirdest trend I've ever observed. And then I was thinking, okay, are we going to get another one of those teams? And it ended up not who knows what the second friendly of the summer will be. But to see Atletico, I was really surprised because I'm like, this is actually a team that is fingers crossed, knock on wood, going to win La Liga, and also
win Champions League.
Yeah, and they might win Champions League. That's a pretty big team to be bringing to the U.S. I mean, even if the name isn't that big, for us to go from, I think, last year, the year before, we played a team, like a Mexican team. I think they might have been in the second division at the time. I'm not sure. But it's definitely a step up. And then also it's DirecTV money, since it's this tournament that they made up last year. I think it's the Euro Americana or something like that. So who knows what kind of money we might be getting for participating in it, but still, it's going to be a good friendly besides being at Candlestick. That'll be interesting.
Hey, isn't that the last game of any kind ever to be played there?
I think so, actually, yeah. That's what Caval tweeted, like, I saw that, and I was like, oh, must be, which is interesting, because it's going to be, it's a stadium that seemingly won't die, because they're actually supposed to demolish it this past winter.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're going to have like a 49ers Legends game, and then the U.S. men's team friendly, and then I guess this
Against Azerbaijan for some reason.
Yeah. I actually think it's really cool because you're going to end up having one of the most famous football stadiums of all time play, have a game of soccer there as its final game, followed by what, like a month later, you're then going to open the new 49ers stadium. The first game being played there is when Seattle comes to visit the Quakes. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that's worked out, because it's like you have Stanford Stadium as being now more well known in the area for the LA friendlies, or I mean not friendlies, sorry, the LA matches than for Stanford football. Yeah, it's definitely not friendlies.
Yeah, anything but friendlies, right?
Yeah, I mean, even that preseason game, the one in Fresno, was pretty hotly contested.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's nice to be moving on up in that regard with friendlies, because it definitely gains a lot of exposure for teams.
Well, speaking of gaining exposure, let's talk about MLS players on the national team. So, making reference to that SurveyMonkey result that I talked about, I'm sure Dennis will be kind enough to post the links for all of you in our notes here. But if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, somebody created a survey that said pick 23 members to be on the men's national team, and I know that this is something that Ian's wanted to talk with you about, Zach, and so I'm actually surprised. We had to choose 5 forwards, and Dempsey ran away with it, followed by Josie, followed by Johansson, and then Wando and EJ both made it in the 4th and 5th spot, with Boyd being edged out. Do you think that's what's going to happen? And if not, who deserves the spot?
Yeah, I guess to frame this, I am personally of the opinion that only one of EJ and Wando is going to go to the World Cup. I do think one of them is going to go, but only one. And I feel like a lot of people are underrating Terrence Boyd, but he's had a freaking fantastic year over in Austria with Rapid Vienna. And I feel like he's going to at least get a call in, and maybe even, I'm going to go ahead and say probably go to the World Cup. There are a couple of others that didn't make the top whatever's, like the top 8 midfielders. I think Ale Bedoya is going to go, who plays in Nantes in France in Ligue 1, and he has been having a great year. So I really do think it's between EJ and Wando, and the reason why I think Eddie Johnson's going to go, and it's very, very, I don't need 10 minutes for this, it's just one very specific reason. He's better in the air than anybody else on the national team. Yeah. And that's something against Germany especially is going to be really big. Obviously he can score with his head, but I think even potentially more importantly in the winning stages of a game like Germany or Portugal is being able to clear away those crosses, because he did that twice in the final stages against Mexico before he scored the goal that was wrongfully called back on the offsides. He cleared a couple of dangerous Mexican